Welcome to the Wind Up with Will, everyone. This is your host, Will, again, and today's video is about MLB Season Predictions. Opening day is tomorrow. Yes, I know that the Dodgers and Padres played in South Korea last weekend, or the middle of last week, but the official opening day of MLB is tomorrow, where pretty much every team plays. I think the Mets game has been pushed back to Friday due to rain, but it is officially baseball season in America, and I'm happy about it. So I'm going to go through my season predictions. It's kind of late at night filming this, so if I'm a little tired, bear with me. I might say some incorrect things or misspeak. Also, I will try and get through this a little faster than my previous video about the NCAA tournament that went on for a while. So, starting off the bat, I'm going to start with the National League, work through the American League, do the playoffs, and then who's going to win season awards. I'm going to try and talk on some different teams as well, just a little bit. Again, this is going to I don't want the video to go on for an hour or 2 hours. So I'm gonna try and keep it kind of short on some of the teams. But starting out, we'll start out with the National League. I think the teams that are going to make the playoffs in the National League, the NL East winners, I think, as much as I hate to say it, I think it's going to be the Atlanta Braves over the Mets. The Braves have won it for, I believe, the last 5 years now, if I'm correct. I'm sure if I'm saying that incorrectly, my brother will correct me on that. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. Let's see. So they've won it. They've won it the last 6 years. They won it the last 6 years in a row. So I'm picking year 7 to win it again. Sorry, I didn't have that information. I should have maybe had that information ahead of time. But the Braves have won it for 6 years in a row. They've been the best team in the East for a while, and several of those years they were picked not to win it by a lot of people, and they still won it. They're a great team. They have arguably the best lineup in baseball. They've got some good pitchers with Max Fried. Spencer Strider is. There are a lot of people are picking him to be a Cy Young candidate this year. They're a really great team. They play in a tough division. The NL East is tougher than it's been in a while, but I think they're kind of head and shoulders above the other teams. Their lineup's just so good. They have the reigning MVP, and they have multiple players that could compete for an MVP. They are a phenomenal team. As much as a Mets fan, I hate to say it, but it's true. In the NL Central, I have the Chicago Cubs winning, and both Central divisions are kind of a toss-up, just because there's no team that is like a front runner that's like apart from everyone else. Every team's just kind of there together, and it's whichever one's kind of going on a hot streak and be healthy is going to separate itself from the rest. And I kind of think it's going to be the Cubs. I mean, they have better pitching. They have a better bullpen. They got better starting pitching. Justin Steele, I believe is his name. For them last year was competing in the Cy Young. They're a decent squad, and they've got young players. And Nico Horner and Ian Happ are good players. I think they're a solid team. I think the Cardinals are another team to watch out in the Central Division. As the Brewers lost their manager. They traded Corbin Burns away, and the Brewers don't have much offense. The Cardinals have offense in Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, but both those guys are in their 30s. Goldschmidt's kind of towards the end of his career, and they don't have Yadier Molina anymore. Their pitching is not what it used to be. So the Cardinals are kind of in that stage where they could win the division, but the division's weak enough they could win it. But I think the Cubs just have better pitching. I think they've got better depth overall through their lineup. Seiya Suzuki is a good player. I mean, he's not a great player. The Cardinals have a lot of guys that kind of hit home runs, or play defense. They don't have pitching, and it feels like they don't really have the consistent hitting, um, and as they did like 10 years ago when they were a hard lineup to get through every time. They're still a good team, and they could win a lot of games, and they could still win the division. But I'm picking the Cubs to win the NL Central. The NL West, the National League West champions, are I have picked the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're the best team in baseball, hands down. They're the best team. They were the best team last year. I know they lost in the playoffs. They didn't even make it to the League Championship Series, let alone the World Series. But they're the best team in baseball. They have probably, I shouldn't even say probably, they have the best lineup in baseball. When you have Mookie Betts, who's an MVP candidate, who's won 2 previous MVPs, um, you have, well, I think, has he won two? He's won at least one. He's won at least one MVP. Previous MVP, Shohei Ohtani, who is the reigning best player in baseball. Absolutely. I know he's not pitching this year, but he's going to be an MVP candidate this year. He's won 2 previous MVPs. Then you have Freddie Freeman, who is a previous in wait, was he a previous MVP? I'm sorry, this is late at night. I'm blanking on. You have him. Freddie Freeman's an MVP candidate every year, and phenomenal player as well. You have him. You have Will Smith, who's one of the best catchers in baseball, a fellow Will. Um, they're just a phenomenal team. They got good pitching. Walker Bueller, I know he's injured, but he's supposed to come back. They got Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'm probably mispronounced his first name, but he was the top player coming out of Japan this season. I wanted the Mets to get him. We didn't get him. I know he didn't pitch well in South Korea, but it's the first game of the year. Probably nerves. He's pitching with a different ball, and because in Japan they pitch with a smaller ball, so it'd probably be a similar learning curve to Kodai Senga for the Mets last year, where he's going to have moments where he's not as good, or has moments where he has bad games because he's going to be adjusting to the different ball because the American baseball is slightly larger than the Japanese baseball. I think it's textured different too. So there's going to be an adjustment there for him as well as just pitching to better hitters than he would on average in Japan. So, sorry, my hat is annoying me. I got it slightly off kilter. I think it'll be a learning curve, but he's a phenomenal pitcher. He top player coming out of Japan this offseason, and a candidate for Rookie of the Year. My wild card teams, I've picked the Philadelphia Phillies, my New York Mets, and the San Francisco Giants. Now, the Phillies are a really solid team. They've made the National League Championship Series the last 2 years, where previously they had not made the playoffs in 12 years, and now they've made back-to-back NLCSs. They made it to the World Series 2 years ago and lost to the Astros. They're a good team. They have good pitching. They have good hitting. The one part that they're lacking on is kind of defense, and their bullpen, their bullpen is better than it was a few years ago. They have one of the best catchers in baseball in JT Realmuto. They went and got Trey Turner to make their defense better. Now, when you've got Kyle Schwarber in your outfield, your defense can only be so good. Nicholas Castellanos is a good player. He's a great player. Bryce Harper is one of the best players in baseball, and I think he's kind of going under the radar after kind of having a down year last year after spending quite a bit of the early year being injured. But he still had a really good year. Power numbers were down. Those should go back up this year. But they're a great team. And the last 2 years they made it to the NLCS, they could very much win the World Series again this year. So I'm picking them as a wild card team. My Mets did not play well last year. Pitching hurt us. Having too many star-studded pitchers in their late 30s and early 40s was not the go-to move. Jose Quintana being injured for most of the year did not help as well. When your new acquisition pitcher Kodai Senga coming out of Japan is your best pitcher, and it feels like your only starting pitcher that can give you innings at times, it's kind of hard to win games. When your bullpen's getting overused, when your best relief pitcher Edwin Diaz is out for the season, and your team, which was a good hitting team the year prior, He won over 100 games the year prior. All of a sudden, can't hit with runners in scoring position. When one of your better outfielders, who's also kind of a key player in getting hits, moving runners over, having speed, playing good defense, when he's injured and misses quite a bit of time, Starling Marte, that hurts you as well. Almost anything that could go wrong for the Mets last year did go wrong, and part of it was injuries, part of it was luck, part of it was some maybe not bad, but some maybe not not the best possible decision makings in building the roster with some of the players on the team. So this year, though, it's a much improved team. JD Martinez signed a few weeks ago, or was it last week? Yeah, the Mets signed him last week to be the designated hitter. I know he's 36, but he hit 20 home runs last year for the Dodgers. He's a great player, former superstar in the league. He's going to be a good player for the Mets. He could be a potentially 30 home run guy. I think he's at least going to hit 25, maybe get close to 30. Don't know if he'll quite hit 30, but he'll be a solid DH in the middle of the lineup. That's all he's going to do. He's going to be DH. Far better candidate at DH than Daniel Vogelbach. Edwin Diaz is back, the best closer in baseball. The Mets have him back. So we're going to be hearing the trumpets a lot this summer, hopefully. And the starting pitching is slightly better. Shamanea, I think, is going to be a decent pitcher kind of at the back end of the rotation, and I think he'll be better than what some people think he will be. I know he's kind of injured last year and had struggled with injuries before, but if he can stay healthy, I could see him being like what Taijuan Walker was for the Mets a couple years ago. He could maybe be that. Kodai Senga, he's injured now. He's on the injured list, but when he comes back, I think he'll be a good pitcher again. Jose Quintana, if he can stay healthy, he's another good pitcher. The Mets are a decent team. Their offense is not going to be as bad as it was last. I should say our offense is not going to be as bad as it was last year. We're going to be better with hitting with runners in scoring position. Jeff McNeil's going to have a bounce. He's weird where he'll have a great year and then he'll have kind of a bad year. So now he should be having a great year this year. Pete Alonso's could hit 50 home runs again this year for the Mets. Francisco Lindor had a great year last year and didn't hit for a great average and was a contender for Gold Glove. And Francisco Alvarez could be a breakout catcher this year. The Mets have some talent coming up in the minors, so the Mets are a team to look out for this year. We're going to be good. Maybe not one of the top teams, but I think the Mets are good enough to make the playoffs. The Giants, the San Francisco Giants, are my other wildcard team in the National League. They made a lot of offseason moves. They got Matt Chapman at third base, signed him, free agent coming from the Blue Jays. They got Hung Jo Lee, I believe is his name. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Jung Ho Lee. He was the best position player coming out of Japan, and his has one of the coolest nicknames out there. His nickname is Grandson of the Wind. Uh, Phenomenal player. He's doesn't quite have power numbers, but he gets a ton of hits. He hits for a great average. He's got a little bit of power, hits a lot of doubles, got some speed on him. He's a great player, and the Giants are going to have him at center field. Good addition there. They hired Bob Melvin to be their new manager. They went and signed the reigning Cy Young winner in the National League, Blake Snell. I cannot believe that he went unsigned so long. I wanted the Mets to get him. Um, his issue is maybe that he's in the past has struggled to throw a ton of innings or stay healthy at times. But when he's healthy, when he's pitching like he did this last year, he can compete and win a Cy Young. He can be that good. So they have him. Logan Webb is one of the best pitchers in the National League. He was in contention for the Cy Young last year. Probably in contention for the Cy Young again this year. I think they're going to be a good team. I could see them missing the playoffs, but I've got them picked to make it. The Diamondbacks could sneak in with their good player Corbin Carroll. Hopefully, I can do another video soon and kind of go over every team because this video is more about the playoff teams and the season awards rather than breaking down each team. Hopefully, I can do a video soon on that. Maybe go into some of the other teams. But so my seeding for the National League, I have the Dodgers as the 1 seed, the Braves as the 2, the Cubs as the 3 seed, The Phillies is the 4, the Mets is the 5 seed, and the Giants is the 6. And MLB's playoffs, the top 3 seeds are always the division winners, and then the bottom 3 seeds are the wild card teams. Moving over to the American League. Should have got a bottle of water. I should have learned from my last video that went on for a while. I have the Toronto Blue Jays winning the American League East. The American League East is toughest division in baseball with the Yankees, Orioles, Blue Jays, Rays. The Red Sox are really the only team that doesn't seem like they're a playoff team. The other 4 teams really look like that they could be playoff teams and are competing. The Blue Jays are a talented team. They made the playoffs last year, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., their best player, kind of had a down year. He didn't have the power numbers he had previously. I look for him to bounce back. Bo Bichette's one of the best shortstops in the game. Guy deserves a lot more attention. They've got good pitching. If Alek Manoah can bounce back, that'd be great for them. We got Chris Bassett, who's phenomenal for the Mets a few years ago. They're just a solid team all around. They don't have many holes. They're a good team, and they got Don Mattingly now as their bench coach, so that's always a good addition to have him. I think he's a good mind. I think he's a good coach, and so glad to see him back in Major League Baseball. But I have them winning the division. But you could pick any of those 4 teams of the Jays, the Orioles, the Yankees, or the Rays to win it. But I'm picking the Blue Jays. I think they're probably the most talented and experienced roster in that division. The Yankees have a lot of top end talent, but I think they have a lot of holes with their pitching. I should say not holes, but questions with their pitching. They have holes in their lineup. So I'm a little. I don't want to pick the Yankees. I know a lot of people are picking them. The Orioles, best record in the American League last year. They've got a great young core. Their closer, Felix Bautista, I think he's out. I don't know if he's out for the full season this year, but I know he's injured to at least start the season. I think it's one of those moments where everything clicked right, and they were the best team last year in the American League, at least in record. I don't think that's going to repeat again this year. I still think they're going to be good and competing for the playoffs, but I don't think they're quite what they were last year, and their pitching definitely overachieved. Now, getting Corbin Burns is a plus, but it's a little hard for me to pick them to just kind of repeat as the division. I think it's too tough a division to do that just yet, and they're not as an experienced group. They're a bunch of young players, so I look for them to take kind of a step back this year. In the AL Central, like the NL Central, this is a crapshoot division. Anyone can win it. It kind of feels like the Twins, Cleveland, the White Sox. They can all compete for this. Even the Tigers and Royals, even though those teams aren't as good, could definitely jump up there. And the White Sox have definitely underachieved over the last few years. I know I've picked them to win that division the last several years, and they've not done it. But the Twins look. Sorry. Filming really late. Late tonight. I think the Twins are the team to repeat. Rocco Baldelli is a good manager. They've got good pitching with Pablo Lopez, someone who could be in contention for the American League Cy Young. They've got a decent roster. I think they're going to be the team to repeat last year. And Carlos Correa had kind of a down year last year. I look for him to bounce back and be more of a star player again. They gave him all that money, and he's not really lived up to it. But kind of like Marcus Semien did for the Rangers last year, I think he's going to have a bounce back year and perform better. I'm picking them to repeat as the division champions. I know they won it last year. I'm picking them to win it again this year. I just don't see Cleveland doing it. I think I just don't think their roster is good enough, and I don't know if how good their pitching is. And the other teams in that division are not too good. I mean, the Royals and Tigers were 2 pretty bad teams last year. The White Sox definitely underachieved, and they have a lot of issues with within their clubhouse, I think. So picking the Twins to repeat as division champions in the AL Central and the AL West. I'm picking the Houston Astros. This has been going on for a while. They're the best team in that division. They're one of the best teams in baseball. They have turned themselves into a kind of a minor dynasty. I know they've not won 3 titles yet, but they've won 2. They've played in what now? 1, 2, 3, 4. They played in 4 of the last 7 World Series, I think. Yeah, 4 of the 4. Well, if you're not counting last year, if you count last year, they've played in 4 of the last 8 World Series. 4 in a 7-year span, and they've won 2 of them. They've made it to, I believe, 7 straight ALCS appearances. Or did they get stopped last year? Is it set? It's either 7 or 8 straight ALCS appearances. They're they're great. They have a phenomenal lineup with Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, who I think's a breakout candidate for the All Star. He had an amazing year last year, and he could be an MVP candidate. Jose Altuve, whether you hate him or love him, still one of the best second basemen in baseball. Still one of the best players in baseball. Phenomenal player. They have good pitching with Framber Valdez. Getting Josh Hader in at closer is a great addition for them. Ryan Presley was already a pretty good closer, and now he's your setup guy for Josh Hader, who's one of the best closers in baseball. That's they're a dangerous team. They've been so for a while, and they're gonna continue to be. Picking them to win the AL West. I know the Rangers just won the World Series. They've got a good chance to maybe repeat, and they were close to winning. They were so close to winning the division last year, but they didn't. The Astros came from behind late in the season to take the division lead, but they did beat the Astros in the World Series. But not in the World Series. They beat them in the playoffs to get to the World Series and eventually win it. So the Rangers are a good team, but losing Jordan Montgomery to the Diamondbacks, I think, hurts them. They've got questions with their pitching. Nathan Eovaldi is going to be good. He was in contention for Cy Young last year. I think he might have won Comeback Player of the Year. If he didn't, he should have. I know last year I was talking, he should be in the conversation for it. Um, that I mean and their lineup is definitely talented. They've got a lot of young talent, and they got some players coming up. They've got like 2 players coming up that can be in contention for Rookie of the Year. Josh Young is a really good third baseman for them. Corey Seager is one of the best shortstops in the game. Marcus Semien is one of the best second basemen in the game. If they could get Jacob DeGrom back halfway through the season, Max Scherzer, if he can stay healthy, is going to be a good pitcher for them. They still got a lot of talent there, and they just won the World Series. So I think they're going to be in contention to make the playoffs, and that's why I have them as a wild card team in the American League. I think there's some questions with their pitching, especially with DeGrom. When is he going to come back? How much is he going to contribute? Can Max Scherzer stay healthy? Um, can Nathan Eovaldi repeat what he did last year? That sort of thing. But they're still going to be a good team and make the playoffs. My other wildcard team is the Orioles. As I said earlier, they've got a lot of young talent with Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson, I think is Gunnar Henderson. Um, you've got a lot of talent there. Jackson Holiday, the top pick in the draft here recently. He's going to be coming up soon. Phenomenal, great player in this that to have in the system. His dad was Matt Holliday, and great MLB player himself. So the Orioles have got a lot of young talent. I'm picking them to be a wild card team, and I'm picking the Yankees to be a wild card team as well. I think Aaron Judge getting Juan Soto is a good addition for them. Getting Carlos Rodon, I think, is a good pitcher. If he can stay healthy, he's a good addition for them. Uh, Hector, oh, what is his name? I'm blanking on his name. I'm sorry, I'm filming this late, and it is throwing me off. Why is that not working? Why can I not think of this player's name? Nestor Cortez. I was wanting to call him Hector. Nestor Cortez. I don't know why I could not think of his name. Nestor Cortez. He was a great player for them last year. I think he struggled to stay healthy a little bit, or he didn't stay healthy the full season. But he's going to be a good pitcher. Garrett Cole's out for them right now. He could miss 2 months of the season. That'd be a big blow for them. I think their lineup is slightly better with Juan Soto in it, and if Stanton can stay healthy, if Rizzo can bounce back, I think they can be a good team. So I'm picking the Yankees to be the other wild card team. I know the Rays are going to be in contention as well. I've got three AL East teams in the playoffs. The Rays, I think, are still going to be in contention, but I think losing Franco to the kind of scandal that of his involvement with a minor. I think that's kind of a cloud over the organization. They lose some of their pitching. Um, Trading Tyler Glass now away. They're a team that has had everything go right and just perform as a good team. And I think they can make the playoffs again this year. But I think the Yankees made some good moves, and getting Juan Soto, I think, makes the Yankees lineup a lot better than it was. Gives some protection to Judge, and I think I think that's going to put the Yankees slightly better than the Rays to just make the playoffs. So my seeding in the American League, I've got the Astros with the 1 seed, Blue Jays with the 2, Twins with the 3, Rangers at 4, Orioles at 5, Yankees at 6. And this video has gone on long enough, so I'm just kind of speed through the playoffs. So in the wild card round, I have the 6-seeded Giants over the Cubs 2-1, and I have my New York Mets over the Philadelphia Phillies, the 5 seed over the 4, 2-1, and then NL wild card round. In the American League wild card round, I had the Yankees over the Twins, 2-0. A tale as old as time. The Yankees beating the Twins in the playoffs. I'm sorry, Twins fans. The 6-seeded Yankees will beat the 3-seeded Twins. Then I have the Rangers, the 4 seed over the Orioles, the 5 seed, 2-0. Um, again, Rangers, Rangers are a talented team. Orioles are a talented team too. They both have some young talent, but the Rangers are the defending World Series champions, so I'm going to pick them to win at least one round. Moving on to the divisional round, I have the Dodgers, unfortunately beating my Mets 3-2. I should mention the wild card round is a best of 3, so whoever wins 2 games first moves on. The divisional round is a best of 5. So the Dodgers are over the Mets 3-2 is what I have, unfortunately. It would be hard. I think the Mets are a playoff team, but it's going to be hard to advance unless you just get hot in the playoffs. And then I have the Braves over the Giants 3-2. In the American League divisional round, I have the Astros over the Rangers 3-2. They're going to get revenge on the Rangers for beating them in the playoffs last year, and they're going to beat them this year to get revenge on them. And then I have the Blue Jays over the Yankees 3-1. I think the Yankees are going to run into a hot Blue Jays team there, and the Yankees pitching is not going to overcome the Blue Jays. And then in the league championship series, I have the Dodgers over the Braves, 4-2. In the American League, I have the Astros over the Blue Jays, 4-3. The league championship series, best of 7. So that gives us Dodgers and Astros in the World Series, a rematch of the 2017 World Series, the now infamous World Series where the Astros cheated to get there and perhaps cheated in the World Series. So we will see the Dodgers play the Astros, and I have the Dodgers winning the World Series 4-3 over the Astros, and your World Series MVP, Yordan Alvarez, for the Astros. One of the best pure hitters in baseball. I think he's going to have his big poppy moment and will the Astros to a. Or, why did, I'm sorry. Why did I pick him? I picked the Dodgers to win. That is error number one on the night. It's actually probably more than error number one. I don't know why I picked him. We're gonna say Will Smith. We're gonna say Will Smith. Shohei could win it too, but I'm gonna pick the Dodgers to get revenge over the Astros and win it 4-3. I don't know why I put Jordan Alvarez there. As I was saying, and I was like, wait a minute, I'd pick the other team to win. I guess he could win in World Series MVP and not be on the winning team, but I don't think that's ever happened before. And at least in baseball, I know it's happened in the Super Bowl a couple times, but I don't think it's happened in baseball. So World Series MVP, I'm picking Will Smith to win it there. You could pick anyone on that. That's a loaded Dodgers team. Um, you could pick Shohei, you could pick Mookie Betts, you could pick Freddie Freeman, but usually the World Series MVP is not always the best player, the superstar on the team. So I'm picking Will Smith to win the World Series MVP. Speaking of awards, I'm going to slide on over to the season awards. This video has been going on for 30 minutes, so I'm going to try and wrap it up real quick. In the NL, I have for MVP Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves, repeating as MVP. I think Corbin Carroll could give him a good run, and then the Dodgers' top four players are going to be in contention too, with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and Will Smith. All of those guys are going to be in contention for an MVP as well in the National League. Cy Young, I've got Zach Wheeler of the Phillies winning it. He was runner up last year. Um, I think he's going to get it this year. He's been so close a couple times. I think he's going to win it this year. But Logan Webb for the Giants, Blake Snell, if he can stay healthy, could have a chance. Zach Gallen with the Diamondbacks was in competition last year. Look to him to be in competition again. Justin Still for the Cubs. And Spencer Strider for the Braves. If he can get his ERA down, sorry, that's my alarm going off. Um, Spencer Strider for the Braves had a ton of strikeouts last year. If he can get his ERA down, he could be in contention for the Cy Young as well. But I'm picking Zach Wheeler to win it. Rookie of the year, I've got Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Los Angeles Dodgers as the top player coming out of Japan. Jung Ho Lee is also in competition center field for the Giants, and he might win it getting to play every day. It's sometimes harder for a pitcher to win it, but Yamamoto, I think he is the odds favorite to win it. If he can stay healthy and have a Kodai Senga like year for the Dodgers, uh, I think he might just win it. Uh, great player coming out of Japan. But we got two Japanese guys that are kind of up there in competition. Him and Jung Ho Lee, uh, grandson of the wind. And then comeback player of the year, I've got Edwin Diaz of the Mets. If he can come back and just get to 30 saves and be close to what he was 2 years ago for the Mets, he's going to have comeback player of the year in the bag because when a couple of years ago he was the best closer in baseball. When he entered the game, when you heard the trumpets play and he marched out on that field, you knew the game was over. You knew it was over. You were losing. So if he can come back to that, I think he's comeback player of the year, and that'd be a huge boost to the Mets. And I think that alone would get him a comeback player of the year just for having that much of an impact for the Mets. Manager of the year, I have Bob Melvin for the Giants. This is his first year with the Giants, and I think they're going to make the playoffs, and it's going to get him manager of the year in the National League. Moving over to the American League, I have Kyle Tucker winning the MVP. You could go a lot of different ways. I know a lot of people are picking Aaron Judge, and he very well might. But I kind of wanted to pick a player kind of under the radar for a lot of people. Kyle Tucker had a great year last year, had, I believe, 30 home runs. I had his stats up a while ago. Uh, what did he have last year? He had 29 home runs, so he's one home run short. He's had 30 home runs the previous 2 years, 29 last year. He led the American League in RBIs last year with 112. Batted 284, had 163 hits, 97 runs scored, 80 walks on the year. Won a Silver Slugger and finished fifth in the MVP voting. So he's a guy that I think will be at least in contention, even if he doesn't win it. And he shows great defense in the field too. So I think he's my pick to win it, but Aaron Judge is going to be in contention. Juan Soto, also on the Yankees, is in contention. If Mike Trout can come back and be healthy, maybe he's in it. Bobby Witt Jr. is a phenomenal player for the Royals at shortstop. He's in it as well. But picking Kyle Tucker to win it. Julio Rodriguez is also another popular pick. A phenomenal player for the Mariners, five-tool player. But Kyle Tucker is a five-tool player, and he's going to be playing on a team that is going to be competing to be not only the best team in baseball, but to win a World Series. So I think that's going to get him the MVP, push him over the edge. Where Jordan Alvarez, who's his teammate, is just a DH. Tucker plays the field. I think that gives him the edge there as well. Huh. I really need to start getting me a bottle of water or something. Cy Young, I've got Framber Valdez, also of the Astros. He was now his ERA ballooned up a little bit last year, but he's a phenomenal pitcher. He's gonna have a good year this next year. Playing the Astros, he's gonna get a lot of wins too. Garrett Cole missing some times, gonna help him. Tyler Glass now moving out of the American League to the National League. I know he's been a popular pick. Shane Bieber is someone else who, if he can stay healthy, can compete. Let me pull up Framber's stats from last year real quick. I've been a little hesitant to use my laptop to look up stuff because I didn't know if it would affect the camera, but apparently it's not, so we're just going to do this real quick. He was 12 and 11 last year. His ERA ballooned up to 3.45, but it was lower at one point. He had over 200 strikeouts and close to 200 innings. If he can get back to what he was a couple of years ago, I think he maybe wins the Cy Young. Sorry. The Rookie of the Year got Evan Carter for the Rangers, outfielder. He played good for them in their postseason run last year, all the way to the World Series and winning it. So he's going to be a player still eligible for Rookie of the Year. So I'm going to pick him to win it. He's one of the odds favorites. I'm just going to leave it there. This video is going on long enough. Comeback Player of the Year, I have Mike Trout. If he can just play in 120, 130 games next year, he could probably win Comeback Player of the Year. One of the best players in baseball. Sad to see him be such affected by injuries over the last few years, but I have him making comeback to be Comeback Player of the Year. Manager of the Year, I've got John Schneider with the Blue Jays. I don't know if you noticed, but all of the teams I picked to make the postseason in the American League, with the exception of the Yankees, made it last year. Now, you could say Aaron Boone could win it, but I think the Blue Jays winning the division and being in contention for perhaps the one seed is going to give it to John Schneider. The Yankees just kind of have a lot of money. So I mean, Aaron Boone could be in contention for it. And also in the National League, I think Carlos Mendoza for the Mets, I think he could be in contention for Manager of the Year as well. First-year manager making the playoffs, you usually get some good votes. That gets you some good votes. Rocco Baldelli for the Twins is also a popular pick that I'm seeing people make. But yeah, those are my predictions there. Um, I mean, that's the video. That's all I got. Hopefully next time I can maybe go into my all MLB team picks. Who's going to win the Gold Gloves? Win the Silver Sluggers? Who's an All Star this year? And yeah, maybe go over what I got right and wrong in last year's predictions. But that's what I got for this video. If you like what I said, give me the thumbs up. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on who is going to win the World Series this year. What is your team? What is their chances of winning it? Who's your pick to win MVP and Cy Young? Let me know down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye.